Hello everyone, my name is Robert Shipley. I'm an assistant professor here and director of jazz studies. And I am so grateful that you guys are giving your time and that you've come here to see this presentation. I don't really need this mic, that was just in case. So what is Juneteenth and why is it a holiday? Juneteenth marks the day the last African American slaves were notified that they had been freed from their masters. It commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. In 2021, Juneteenth was established as a federal holiday. Juneteenth celebrations then, like now, recognize the ongoing fight for human rights and equality and are commemorated through events such as this wonderful series of events, Freedom Festival held by I Am Academy. Let's give it up for the founders of I Am Academy, Henry and Lindsay Cherry. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your Freedom Festival events. It's my extreme pleasure. So it's celebrated and recognized, commemorated through events such as this, family cookouts, faith services, musical performances, and storytelling. And so that's my part, to tell a story. And I want to tell you my story. Music, the universal language, my truth, music, and drums. So what I'll do is tell my story of my participation in musical performances with historical African-American icons in the music business. I've been blessed to do that, be the performing touring drummer for many great performers. And so what I'm going to do is display several performances, videos, and take you on a chronological journey of my life performing all over the world. So you'll see me performing with artists like Shaka Khan, Natalie Cole, Diana Ross, The Temptations, the OJs, and many others in places like Japan, Germany, Jamaica, and various other venues all over the world. And then, if we have time, I'd like to lay out my life story in my formative years and how all this came to be. So that's what we'll do, and I'll start with one of the first national artists that I toured with. I'm a drummer from the south side of Chicago, and this first artist is Mighty Joe Young. This is the Chicago Fest, 1982. I'm about 22, 23 years old. Please enjoy Mighty Joe Young.
Please get together with Mr. Mighty Joe Young! Mama
first band I started doing any extensive national touring. So we were on a couple of blues festivals, and on the bill with us was Clarence Gatemouth Brown. So I got to be friends with his drummer. Now, Clarence Gatemouth Brown is based in New Orleans at that time. He's passed on. But his drummer, Ricky Sebastian, was moving to New York. And Ricky says, hey, Shipley, I'd like to throw your name in the hat if you'd like to come down and take my place on this gig. Gatemouth he's about to record an album, he's about to do a tour of Europe, and that sounded interesting to me, and I was like, yeah, I get to move away from home and you know, maybe get out in the world, so it sounded like a great opportunity. So I moved down to New Orleans, we recorded an album, and actually, the album was nominated for a Grammy, and I just received last week this certificate from the Recording Academy in recognition of your participation as a musician on a Grammy awarded nominated recording, One More Mile album, Clarence Gatemouth Brown. This is Best Traditional Blues Recording, Grammy, 28th Grammy Awards, year 1983. So what's that, 41 years ago. And I just did some research about a year ago to see, hey, can I get a certificate? Hey, can I get a certificate or something, you know? And it just came last week, and what perfect timing for Juneteenth and this presentation. So that and this other videos and things I'll be presenting today is just my evidence of my participation in musical history. So now this is a part of our European tour. We were in Germany. This is Clarence Gatemouth Brown, 1983.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another tune we'd like to do for you. I wrote in 1971 and recorded it over in Paris, France, simply because it was happening then and it's happening now to all of us. And this tune is called Dollar Got the Blues and Getting Lower Every Day. No lie.
Brown. Boy, these bring back memories. This is a picture of the album and a picture of me and Gatemouth. We recorded in a studio called Studio in the Country in Bogalusa, Louisiana. So I toured with him. We came down the West Coast from Vancouver after doing Europe and just played blues festivals all down the West Coast, say from Seattle to San Diego. And then I quit that tour, and I wanted to stay in LA and see what I could do. So after 6 months, I got the gig with the daughter of the legendary jazz pianist and vocalist Nat King Cole. This is Natalie Cole. I was with her from 83 to 89. We traveled all over the world. This is a performance on The Tonight Show, doing one of her hits at that time, 1988. You guys remember any of these? You know these artists? Natalie Cole? I have some more I'm sure you're going to know. So I was with the Temptations. I was with Natalie Cole from 83 to 89, but during her off time, I toured with the Temptations around 88, 89. I was doing, Natalie introduced me to the casino circuit. She did that a lot. So we did Atlantic City, Vegas, Tahoe, and Reno. The Caesar's Palaces or the Valleys. And so I joined the Temptations and toured with them for about 6 months. This is us on The Tonight Show when the Temptations featured Ollie Woodson. And then in 89, I auditioned for Diana Ross. She was starting the U.S. leg of her world tour, and I was just finishing a run at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas with Natalie Cole. We were billed with Dionne Warwick. So we were going into like a off period, and just so happens Diana Ross's drummer was leaving, and they needed a substitute, so they were auditioning drummers. I had already flown home to LA and heard that they were auditioning. I immediately flew back to Las Vegas. They had been auditioning drummers all day and hadn't heard anyone that they were pleased with. I auditioned that night and I got the gig. So we started the next day. It was a 2-week run. It was the 6-month US leg of her world tour. She was already in the middle of this world tour. It was the biggest production I had ever been on. And it was definitely an upgrade because I was playing with double and triple scale LA recording session musicians, and the pay was great and all that. So I actually remember feeling something I had never felt before with an artist. This chill went up my spine as I'm performing in the show, when it dawned on me that I'm actually playing with Diana Ross and this big production and playing these hits that I grew up with, playing Loving. And it was just a feeling that just one time that it hit me, and I'll never forget it. But that was a great experience. So Diana, we didn't do any television shows. It was just, mostly outdoor venues. It was summertime. I do have some audio recordings because the show included segments of the Supremes, of course, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and then her solo material, her solo recordings. And then a segment from Lady Sings the Blues, a movie she did, a tribute to Billie Holiday. So we had the jazz section, and it was great. So I have some recordings of that I'll share with you if we have time, in the end. I want to leave time today to answer questions too. So I have a few more recordings. So I auditioned for the OJs, and after Diana Ross, and after the Temptations, since 1990, and I worked with the OJs from 1990 to 2002, so 12 years. But in the middle of those 12 years, around the middle 90s, I left them and went out with Shaka Khan for 3 years, and then came back to the OJs and finished some more years. So this is the OJs. This is Sinbad, the comedian, had a special on HBO, and this is in the Virgin Islands, St. Martin. Enjoy the OJs.
Y'all know this group. So St. Martin and the 70 Soul Music Festival, give it up for the OJ's Orchestra. The girls got plenty good loving. Ask me how I know, and I'll tell you so. Used to be my girl. I respect her. When she was mine, I used to neglect her. Oh, she wanted more than I could be. But as long as I live, she'll be my girl. She used to be my girl. Oh, she used to be my girl. She had a charming personality. The girl was so right for me. She's my girl. If I had a chance, I'll take her back. Oh no, as a matter of fact, right away, right today. Oh, girl, don't need the plan.
All right, that was the OJs. So, like I said, I left in the middle 90s, around 96, and started touring with Shaka Khan. And this is one of my first gigs with her in Japan, the Mount Fuji Jazz Festival. Please enjoy Shaka Khan. boy, you can tell we were having fun, can't you? That's the beauty of music. I mean, when you get past all the rehearsals and ironing everything out, and then you just get to travel the world and go and have fun, and that's what's really the magic of music. And so that's one of the reasons I titled this presentation "The Universal Language." We're traveling in Japan. We're playing for audiences. Half of them don't speak a word of English, but they know every word to the songs. You know, so the music transcends cultures, geographical locations, and it unites us all. And so that's the great thing about like being gifted as an artist. This next, I just have a couple more videos for you. This one is Shaka Khan, again on the Sinbad HBO special. It was the following year after the OJs in the Virgin Islands. This was in Montego Bay in Jamaica, and Shaka was on this HBO special. She featured me on one of her songs.
Okay, Chef. We see you.
All right. Being in Los Angeles, I was there about 15 years. I was afforded the opportunity to do quite a few television shows, and this is an episode of The Nanny, if anyone remembers that show, with Fran Dressler. So the legendary jazz vocalist Eartha Kitt, we did a lounge scene. Beverly Hills 90210. Anybody remember that show? So this was the final episode of Beverly Hills 90210, and I was performing with Eric Benet and Tamia. Let's see, this is kind of loud, I think.
I'd like to introduce super recording artists Eric Benet and Tamia singing "Spend My Life With You."
Diamond David, this one's especially for you.
I never knew such a day could come. wanting to talk to you. Now, Matt.
So, I hope you enjoyed that. So I went back out, finished touring with the OJs until 2002. And now this is 20 years, 2 decades of me touring. And I was getting weary of the road. I had played sold out shows at Madison Square Garden, the Superdome, 500,000 people under the arch in St. Louis, huge concerts and television shows and all that. And so one of the keyboard players with the OJs got offered a residency gig, a lounge gig in Las Vegas. And the drum chair opened up. He told me about it. I came. I didn't even have to audition my repetition. They just said, yeah, they welcomed me. And so what happened was, it was the beginning of me getting off the road, performing 6 days a week, and 3 years here in New York. 2 years at the Paris Casino, 2 years at Bally's. Hooters opened up. I played a year there. I just kept moving around. And I also did 8 years, 6 days a week in the evenings on a Motown review show in Planet Hollywood had a venue. So then I'm working 2 jobs a day. I'm working in the evening and at night. This is one of the premier showroom bands, and I subbed for their drummer. So this is Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns, and they featured me. This is in Las Vegas. Another band, this is the last video, but this is another band that I auditioned with. This is actually the demo video we used to shop for a gig, and it was with one of the top agents in Las Vegas. He had a very good sense of how to market a group. Again, these are not named acts anymore. I got all that out of my system. The tour buses and the limos and the five-star hotels, and I just wanted to be at home in my bed every night and a consistent living, you know, in my family secure and everything. So I had that. I'm healthy. I'm working, you know, 2 gigs a day, 6 days a week for years. So it was great. And so that was the thing. Now, no less, they were great musicians. That last band you saw, the show band, Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns, they played behind Celine Dion, Lady Gaga, Donnie and Marie for years. A lot of these showroom gigs last for years, and they are the premier band. But they do their own thing every Monday, and they've been doing it every Monday for years. When I was back in '83 in the showrooms with Natalie Cole, they were the lounge band, and they used to sneak in and come see me. And so we've been friends for over 30 years, 40 years now. So I'll just show this clip for you. This is just a short demo we used to shop for this band. Now I'd like to give you a little just brief description of my life and how in my formative years, how all this came to be, maybe a little bit about the audition process, and then take some questions if that's okay. You guys doing okay so far? Yeah, you still with me? Great. So this is my home. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. My family, to your left, that's my youngest daughter and the newest family member of the family, Noelle. And then there's my oldest daughter and her lovely 2 daughters. That's my queen, my wife, and I. And on the right, that's my son, Jeremy, and his lovely family. They live in Nashville. This is my immediate family. So down at the lower left, that's me. And then in the middle, my twin brother. That's my dad, Charles Shipley, my mom, Betty Shipley. Upper left, that's my older sister, Evelyn, and my older brother, Charles Jr. My father was a recording engineer, so that afforded us the opportunity to have a soundproof recording studio in our basement growing up, and we rehearsed every day. We started at 10 years old, so this is maybe a year after I started. This is my first band, some neighborhood kids. The bass player, Paul Jackson, that's me with the drumsticks. The tall young lady is, she was a freshman in high school. That's Terry Johnson. And then my twin brother with the guitar. We were about 11 years old then. We played in Terry's high school talent show and won first place. And we're in 6th grade, so we thought we were pretty hot, you know. Jackson 5 were our inspiration, amongst others. James Brown, Sly and the Family Stones, whatever the hits were of the time, we were emulating. We were practicing every day. In our basement, and here's in high school, all of my high school years, we got a new keyboard player, and he was the organist in this church on the south side. So he introduced me to Reverend Isaac Whitman and the Greater Metropolitan Church. James Cleveland was one of the greatest gospel singers, composers, producers at that time, and so we did a couple albums with him. So all through high school, 4 years, I was at church, choir rehearsal on Thursdays, played in church services, 2 to 3 services a Sunday, and that was my spiritual growth in my formative years as a musician. High school, I went to Chicago Vocational High School on the South Side, of course, and we were the all-state jazz band. This is my junior year. Look at those afros. That's pretty cool. We were in the state competition that year. We won first place. Myself and 2 other musicians, the guitarist and the saxophonist, won solo competitions for some improvisation and stuff we were doing in the band. So that was a great experience. That's Harold Bray to the right, our band director. He was very awesome, inspirational. It being a vocational high school, we spent 4 periods of music every day. Theory, marching band, concert band, jazz band. So I had that. I still had my band rehearsal, choir rehearsal, playing with other band rehearsals. It was music all day, every day. This is the marching band. We were called the Pride of Chicago, again in my junior year. And me and so that's me there on snare drum. And this guy, Donzel Davis, he was a senior, and he's, to this day, he's still one of my biggest inspirations on drums. He was amazing. He and I used to spend our lunch periods, and he would be in there in lunch period just on the drums, just practicing, and he let me hang out with him. And he taught me so much. So I would go to his house, he'd come to my house, we'd spend lunch periods, drums, drums, drums. It was great. This gentleman, Ike Davis, now I went away on a marching band scholarship to Kentucky State for 1 year, and then I came back to Chicago and attended American Conservatory of Music and started wanting to gig and perform around town. This gentleman was a great jazz and pop rock drummer, but mostly jazz. And he says, Ship, that's what my good friends call me, Ship, so you guys can call me Ship if you want, for short for Shipley. He said, Ship, I want to take you around town and introduce you to the music community of Chicago. So he took me up to maybe half a dozen jazz and blues clubs on the north side. And everybody knew him and respected him. And before I knew it, my phone was ringing and I was gigging. One of the first recording artists that I toured with, along with the blues artist that you already saw me with, Mighty Joe Young, was Gene Chandler. His big hit was The Duke of Earl. And then, of course, The Emotions. You may know them and some of their records. And in case you know the story of Natalie Cole, this is us in her dressing room at Caesar's Palace. Diana Ross, The Temptations, the OJs on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I also played the Oprah Winfrey Show with Shaka Khan. I know I'm forgetting something, but this is the end of the presentation. Oh, I did 2 summer residencies in the south of France. 3 months, 1 summer, 5 months, another summer in Monte Carlo. And this is me on drums with Stevie Wonder. So many great performers would come through. Harry Connick, Earth, Wind and Fire, Luther Vandross, everybody came through. And so I got to jam with some really great musicians. And there's me with Stevie. This is a great casino, what should I call him? A showroom musician, artist, fantastic entertainer, Earl Turner. So they built a showroom at the Harrah's Casino in New Orleans named after him, and then Hurricane Katrina came and tore that down. And so when they renovated it and built it back up, we went to New Orleans and did like a 2-month residency in 2015 at the Harrah's Casino in New Orleans. This is the Motown Review Show I was telling you about that I worked with for 8 years in Las Vegas, 6 nights a week. Jen Reeves is the star of it. She's from Detroit. A great experience. So many family type relationships that I have with musicians all these years. And what God has done for me, I just want to be a witness to you that He could do for any of you. You have a child or you have an aspiration to do something, because He did it for me, and I'm sure He can do it for anybody. I'm not special, but the requirement is I put the work in, so I had to pay those dues, right? And when I look back at my life, looking back now, because here God has blessed me to be an educator. I never dreamed that I would be a professor when I was doing all this stuff. And here I am doing God's will. He helped fulfill my dreams and the desires of my heart at that time. And I feel like I'm here to do His will and share my experience and my education with the students who have the desires like me. So when I look back at myself and my successes and my friends, I can see a direct relationship with the amount of time we spent practicing and the amount of success we achieved. You know, the amount of money we were able to make, if that's success, but there's a level of success, but just for an example, I have a friend who went to that high school with me. He was a couple years behind me, Daryl Jones, a bassist. And he's now been with the Rolling Stones for 30 years, and he makes ridiculous money. Okay, he's coming here November 16th for our jazz concert to join the jazz band. He's a dear friend of mine, Daryl Jones, you can look him up. But his first gig, 2 years out of high school, he spent so much time practicing. And so that's what I mean when I say I can look back and see the amount of time people spent and the amount of success they achieved. And so his first gig, real gig, 2 years out of high school was Miles Davis. And he went from basically a nobody to legendary status. Just one phone call could just change your life like that. But the thing is, he was ready. He was prepared. And Miles Davis was for 5 years, and then Sting, from the Police, Sting started his solo career, and he wanted all jazz musicians. Madonna, Herbie Hancock, a long list of people before he got with the Stones, and the rest is history. So, yeah, that's it. I'd love to take any questions you might have. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Did you choose the drums, or did your father choose that? Did someone choose it for you?
Oh, okay.
And secondly, did you have the desire to do music apart from your father and the family, or was it something sort of crafted and handed to you, saying, perhaps your father saying, you're going to do this?
Okay, great questions. So my father was a drummer as like a hobbyist. He was a recording engineer. He was many things. He had a medical degree and a few other things, but primarily he was a recording engineer. So he told stories of being a drummer, but it was more of a hobby. And so, of course, looking up to him, as children do to their fathers, that was one of the inspirations for me. And my twin brother, thank God we didn't have to fight over that. He wanted to play guitar, so it was easy. So they had the music program in school. My brother actually took up, because they didn't teach guitar lessons, he took up the horn temporarily, like a saxophone. And but we still had a guitar. And I was just attracted to it. But my father used to take us out to concerts, and he was a backstage kind of guy. He would just he was just a people-friendly person, and so that kind of, another thing that kind of instilled in us was not to look at entertainers as stars. They were just people, and I grew up just kind of being behind the scenes, and so that was a great opportunity growing up in Chicago, because it's a great, vast music community, and there was no struggle. I don't know. I saw how powerful drums could be played by a professional, and it just hit me like, that's what I want to do. And I'm not going to do anything else. That's it. I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket. There's no plan B. I'm going to make this work. And my passion drove me to just loving it, just drove me to practice, want to practice all the time. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Yes, Henry, you had your hand.
So I saw in there that you did drums for Stevie Wonder. Did you ever get a chance to see Stevie Wonder play drums?
A lot. That night he played drums. See, I mean, you know, Harry Connick and his band, everybody would play different instruments. He sat on the drums. Actually, in Los Angeles, when I was on Natalie Cole's gig, I became friends with Dennis Davis, who was Stevie's drummer. He's playing on that Do I Do record. They say, Dennis playing by himself, man. That's Dennis Davis. So I got a chance to hang out at Stevie's studio many nights, went to his house for parties and his radio station. So I was very much in the clique with Stevie and kind of got to know him personally. Got to jam with him in the studio. He loved playing drums. Him, Shaka Khan, a lot of people, Mays, Frankie Beverly was a drummer originally. A lot of people don't know that. Teddy Pendergrass was a drummer originally. And so Stevie was one of those. He played drums on many of his hits. Yeah, you know that, huh?
No, I remember the first time I ever watched him play an instrument was drums, and I think he was probably like 16 years old. And I was like he can do that, and then he knows piano too. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. It's
crazy how gifted he is. Many of the records. Let's see. That's him on drums. What's the name of that song? Anyway, he sounds like a blind guy playing drums. You know, he's kind of like all over the place, but he's in the pocket and he's grooving. Yeah, he's awesome. You had a question? Oh, that was the Jackson 5. No, I wasn't in that. Yeah, so that was a video of the Jackson 5, man. You got to check them out if you've never seen them live. And many of the performances that I've done, you've seen me with those clips, there's like a whole full concert of me playing with Shaka Khan on that thing. So if you want to see some of these performances in the full-length version, YouTube search Robert Shipley on drums, and there's a lot out there. Yes?
Your story is fascinating, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh.
I think informative years as a child it can play so deeply into where we land as adults. And I hear about the South Side of Chicago, where my husband also, his family lived. My father-in-law was a minister at Gano Reformed Church on the South Side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think of you in this vocational school. This was a special school, correct?
Yes.
Were all of them there for music, or were there different areas of fine arts? And how did you choose to get there, and then go from there to ending up getting a full college degree when you really were focusing on your music? A little bit more of that would be wonderful.
Oh yeah, that's great questions. Those are great questions. Thank you. So actually, I started in a technical high school, Lindblom, for my first 2 years. You familiar with Lindblom?
I am.
Yeah, it's a great school, but their band sucked. So anyway, so I'm in their band, and we're playing a football game, and the marching band, you know, come out, and CBS came out, and I was like, wow, they're awesome. I'm going there. So that's how I wound up at CBS. Their music department, it's a big school, first of all. It's 4,000 students, averaging like, at that time, not today, it's gone down horribly, and I hate to see it, breaks my heart. But at that time, 1,000 students in the graduating class was nothing. It was a huge school. So it had automotive department and all kind of vocations. So the music department was on the 3rd floor. It was the orchestra, there was the vocal department, and then there was the band. And it was just all day education. 2 weeks before school started, we were at school with the training for the marching band. It was intense, it was rigorous, it was very disciplined. And I'm sad to say it was a little bit brutal. If you've seen, what's that movie with the guy with the Whiplash? It was very much like that. So he didn't mess around, but at that time, it was okay. And but we all still talk about him. He's passed on now. We all talk about him with love because he united us. He instilled in us a discipline And I didn't even understand how some of those musicians went through all this if they weren't serious about music as a vocation. But I think in whatever career path they chose, it still had a bit of that discipline, kept them, focused, and was a bit of an advantage. So it was a very gifted orchestra. So the guy, Daryl Jones, the bassist, he was in the orchestra. I was in the band. We had 4 periods, it was intense theory. And we didn't know how far advanced we were until we left high school and went on to college. And then we noticed how far ahead we were than our peers. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
So last summer we went to Memphis and took the kids to the Motown Museum down there. And there they talked about how they were able to bring people from different walks of life, different races, together through music. Based on your experience or life experience and you traveling across the country, this being Juneteenth, celebrating freedom for all, what lessons, words of advice do you have for us today and for, the next generation, just in terms of what you've learned about race relations and just uniting people and, all that?
Man, well, I can relate to this too, but Daryl Jones has his own documentary on Amazon Prime called In the Blood, and he talks about how his parents instilled in him the awareness that there was ground to be covered because we weren't going to be treated equally. And my parents instilled that in me too. And it's not about being racist, but just being prepared because there are challenges. And so, but my passion for music, I don't know, it's weird how music shielded me from a lot. In Chicago's always been a very dangerous city. Violence is just entwined in the core of the culture of Chicago. And it's okay, it's not okay, but it is what it is, right? Being a musician have kept me out of gangs, has kept me out of being beat up by gang members. I mean, literally, I got a pass. And I hear stories like just being told by Herbie Hancock, and you read the stories of Benny Goodman and musicians. Overall, I don't know, something about musicians. So I guess my point is, music kind of instills a unity and a love for your fellow man, and you kind of look past the race thing. And I think maybe it just unites us. It unites us universally and culturally, and that's the way I looked at it. So I kind of look just like I look beyond color. And it's taken me all over the world. Just having a pair of sticks in my hands, I know I can go anywhere in the world and survive. And that's a gift, it's great. I hope that answers your question.
No, thank you.
Good. Yes.
You've got, looks like you have a great family, and your family keeps growing. And curious, how did family life fit in with, all of the world travel?
I'm glad you asked that, because I get that a lot, and that's a great question. I mean, how does one travel and still support their family? Because many musicians, or someone might have a gift and want to do this for a living, but they want security. Any art is a risk, I guess you could say. It's not the most secure, stable financial situation you can put yourself in and prepare for. But for me, again, it was my passion, and I knew I was going to make it. I just was going to do what needed to be done to make it. But in terms of having a family and growing up there and being with your kids, my family and my kids have always loved me and supported me and knew that it was my passion. So they support me, and I've always had a close relationship. And I took my family with me as much as I could on the road. I don't know, it just seemed to work out, I was fortunate that I was able to make a pretty good living consistently early, so that helped. Yes, there were rough times, and yes, there were times when it wouldn't have been the most stable situation to have my family, and I was a part of, it's a long story, right? But suffice it to say, it worked out, and all of my family, we're just as tight and love each other to death. So, yeah, it just worked out for us. I was fortunate. You know, there's a lot of, what do you call it? Occupational hazards that come with entertainment, you know, drugs and partying. Why? Because every time we go out and perform, most of the times we go out and perform, it's an event. It could be a birthday party or a wedding or, you know, some corporate events. But it's time for people who work their 9 to 5 to let their hair down and have fun. And musicians forget that they're on the job and they're working. And it could be like in clubs and bars and concerts, and it's always a party. New Year's Eve, you name it. We don't get days off for holidays, so I'm not used to like being off for, you know, Christmas and holidays and Valentine's Days and New Year's Eve. You name it. I'm used to working. This career that I'm in now is different, and it's taken me a little bit of learning to get adjusted to academia, but I love it. So I feel so blessed to be in it and still be in music, and it's a gift. Yeah. Hope that answers your question a little bit. Anything else? Yeah.
We have a lot of opportunities to play music, so we keep hearing 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours. So about what age do you think you were when you got your 10,000 hours?
Wow. Yeah, 10,000 hours. You guys know what she's talking about? You've heard that theory about, you know, the average amount of time it takes to be successful at anything. It could be anything. I forgot where I heard that. You guys probably could tell me better. But I did hear it. And I jokingly tell students, I was like, okay, that's pretty good what you're doing. Now just imagine you have to do that for about 1,000 more hours. And they're like, oh my God, it just seems so daunting and, you know, like scary. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. You just cross this invisible line. Practicing every day after school while my friends, I'm in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and my friends out playing basketball and everything, and I'm just in the basement practicing because this is my passion. So those 10,000 hours just passed, I don't know, sometime maybe around high school years, you know, because I started in 5th grade and I was always playing. But when I came out of high school, I think I was ready then, just like my friend Daryl Jones was. And he went and auditioned for Miles Davis and became legendary. So I think somewhere around my junior year in high school, I don't know. That's a very interesting question. I never really thought about it. Thank you for making me think about that. But I don't know, this like invisible line you cross and you're ready before you know it, you know? Yes? You want me to play? I was wondering if you guys wanted me to play. Now, of course I don't have a band, but I do have some backing tracks prepared. Yeah, I guess we have time for something. Any more questions? Let me see what I have here. Now again, I rehearsed all this, and I'm happy to do this. So I hope you enjoyed it. Did you? Thank you. Praise God. Praise God. It's an honor to do this. Let me see. Give me a second. I have to adjust some things to set this up, and then maybe I can play a song or two. Again, this is backing tracks, and it's just some of the artists that I play with, to just give you an example of maybe me performing on some of these tunes. Let me see how I can do this. See, I had that. Okay. Let's see if this works. Bear with me, I'm almost there. Hold on. Let's try this. The tracks that I had put together, medleys. I had segued some tunes, and so I've already rehearsed those in a certain pattern. But that's okay. Good, good. Any other questions?
Yes, do you still practice every day?
Okay, good question. Unfortunately, my job here at Hope is such a full-time job. I'm the area head for the jazz area, so it involves a lot of auditions at the beginning and juries and the adjunct faculty, and you probably know this. But during the semester, I have no time to practice.
Yeah.
I have no time to practice, and I took on the HWPEP program, teaching at the prison. That was a big time commitment that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I'm really enjoying the summer because I'm protecting my time so I can practice and hit the gym and just kind of take care of me so I can be more prepared. But no, yeah, I'm loving practicing now. Usually when the semester starts, I'll hopefully have a little bit less of a load this next semester, this next academic year, so I can practice. But I teach so much that I am on the drums a lot. Well, if that's it, thank you all. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Thanks, Lindsay and Henry, for inviting me to do this.
If I may say, Robert is just an amazing musician, resource for our community, and we've been able to partner with him where he provided free lessons to kids at Boys and Girls Club. My kids were able to obviously be a part of it, and other IM Academy students too. And that was his dream. He's like, hey, can we do this? Can we do this partnership? And so it's just been amazing. I know Mike is always excited when they get to see him, and know, coming home and they got, you know, drumsticks, remember Shipley? Like, that was the big thing for them last summer. So thank you guys for taking the time on such a hot day to come and spend the evening with us and learn more. And thank you, Robert, for doing this for us for our Juneteenth festival. So thank you.
It was a blessing. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.